welcome to it.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us. A hugely important day, and great to see a renewed vigour behind all of these important messages on World AIDS Day. But we seem to have approached this in a slightly different, more realistic way now, which is fantastic. It all begins with education and, I suppose, knowing your status, HIV testing. Is it happening, Doc?
Well, there's a lot of HIV testing happening, but also there's a lot of HIV testing not happening. And the big reason for that is probably denial on the one side, where people think it's not something that's going to happen to them. Yeah. People always think that it's something that happens to other people and not to them. So that's the one side, the denial sort of component. On the other side, we have probably the fear factor. You know, if I go for a test, what if my test is positive? What am I going to do? How is that going to impact on my life and my family and my friends and my partner? So, I mean, I believe that that is probably the biggest reason why we're not sort of testing everybody the way we should.
Which I suppose then kind of desensitizing that conversation and making it more common is even more important than we thought of before. Why is it so important to know your status, to get tested?
Yes. Well, I think there's a few things. First of all, HIV is not the killer disease it used to be. There's something we can do about it. There's treatment available. You can live a normal life. You have a normal life expectancy once you sort of enter treatment. So things aren't as bad as what used to be way back in the days. A lot of things have changed. Knowing your status, if it's negative, is also a fantastic thing, because we find that people who has gone for a test and tested negative, usually we find that they become ambassadors for HIV prevention, because they speak to other people and they tell them, I recently had a test, I tested negative. Do you know your status?
100%, yeah.
So we frequently find that there are pros and cons for both positive and for negative testing.
I'm going to give you a moment to think about the next question, Doc. We're going to take a very quick break, or at least go into the news, but we'd love to hear from you at home. 083-9133-728, that's the number to dial. Please weigh in on the conversation. You have any questions or any comments or stories you'd like to relate to us, and we're going to talk about why it's so important to get tested again if you've even come back with a negative result, to keep that conversation going. But let's dive right back into the news headlines.